Hypocrisy.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Super Late Explaining the Interwebs. I am your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. I'm not sorry about being late, but I feel bad about it. Because you should never apologize to a ravenous mob, and that's you. That's you, bastards. And bitches. We're not discriminatory. Hey, guys, welcome. Welcome. Sorry, I was on Elijah Schaefer's show, and I had not talked to him in a very long time, and I had some pretty important stuff to talk to him, both business and personal, after the show. I tried to keep it short, giggity, but I'm not Asian, so I couldn't do that. But here we are. Here we are. And welcome back. Welcome back. What the fuck Wednesday? What the fuck Wednesday is back. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are not familiar, What the Fuck Wednesday is a segment we had going a little while ago. I temporarily retired it, and then now it is back. And that is where my locals audience has some participation, where they find some crazy fucking stories from around the internet. And we go ahead and hit those crazy stories. And yeah, it should be a good time. We have some regular stuff first, though. We have regular stories first. I don't want to sell it as that's the only theme of this show. It is not actually the theme of the show. It's a segment that's done near the end of the show. But for those of you who are not into very weird news and videos and stuff from around the internet, that will come later. We have normal news stories in the realm of law, culture, and politics going on first. Namely, the first is a feel-good story today. I've been talking a little bit about like the red pill community, and there's a lot of talk right now about men and women. There's a struggle in the culture war about how men should be, how women should be, and all that stuff. And there's a specific segment of the internet that feels a very particular way on the subject, and that's perfectly fine. I have no problem with that. But one of the things they often do is say that marriage is an always losing proposition, and that the prenups don't work, nothing ever functions, the courts are always for women, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they will often use these celebrity divorces as a reason to show you that you can't win in the system. And their arguments aren't the worst arguments ever, because, you know, there are pitfalls to all of this. But I do want to dispel one particular notion. And the notion is that prenups are disfavored and don't work. Prenups are contracts. There are a lot of pitfalls around engaging in a prenup that you need to follow and document. But if you do, and the terms of the prenup are clear and not clearly unreasonable, and that term has a little bit of give, but not a ton, then you can actually have your prenup honored, and it can be extremely valuable to you. And the person who is realizing that right now is Kevin Costner, because he just kicked the shit out of his ex-wife in court all over the place. His prenup was upheld. All of the stuff that he was ordered originally was reduced. He's gotten favorable rulings through the entire process. And, you know, frankly, like the crazy thing is, like, this is the story I'm highlighting, but this is just when the system works. This is when the system works. It's worked out in favor of Kevin Costner, but that's because it's worked as expected. But since there are so many feel bad stories that come out about celebrities and prenups and divorce, I want to go ahead and highlight a story that is actually how the system works, because the reality that will not be communicated to you by some other channels and commentators is that the system actually does function pretty well most of the time. Now, granted, don't get me wrong, divorce is expensive, very fucking expensive. And paying child support is not cheap. And the more money you make, the more not cheap that is. So don't let me tell you that there's no risk to this. No monetary loss will ever be incurred. You'll just have all your money. No, no, no. If you go through something like a divorce, and you have children especially, you are going to end up paying some level of child support if you're the higher income earner. Even if you're the primary caregiver, it's possible that you will end up paying some level of child support for the time that they are watching the children, even if that's not an equal share. It's just how income brackets break down. They want to maintain the standard of living for the children wherever they are, regardless of whose house they're in at a given moment. The standard of living for them needs to remain the same, even though mommy and daddy are fighting, right? That's the idea behind it. It's not a perfect system, but it is a predictable system most of the time. Most of the time, it's predictable with some level of accuracy because it's really a math formula and then arguing about what variables go in the formula. But once you have those variables figured out, the math formula is just typically statutory, and it functions like a math formula. It produces the same answer with the same variables. That's what happened with Kevin Costner here. Now, you and I do not want Kevin Costner's child support payments, but for him, they're actually pretty fucking good. All right. But I want to be clear, like, you and I don't want that. But we're talking about an A-list celebrity with a different level of wealth and income than we experience, right? So we're going to see how that has worked out. And actually, the ex-wife really screwed herself over on this fight because there was a provision in the prenup, which is a provision that should be in all of them, where if you wrongfully contest the prenup, you will forfeit your rights under it. You will not get the agreed spousal amounts. You will sever your ability. And by the way, bitch, you'll pay for the attorneys that have to fight against this. Now, that's only if the prenup is upheld and if they're found to have, frivolously gone after it, which is what seems to be the case here. But that's usually the argument as well from some of these commentators and channels, is that, well, a woman frivolously went after it. She did all the bad behavior and still she was able to defeat a prenup. Like, there are plenty of ways to get around a prenup if the circumstances are right. But if you're careful, if you're well advised, if you have a decently drafted prenup, they're going to be upheld so frequently that it's not newsworthy. That's the trick. So we're going to have that little feel-good story because it'll be a great example to see how this stuff works in a celebrity marriage being dissolved, because normally we get the other side of that story. And this one is well-deserved W on the part of Kevin Costner. Next, we've got New South Wales going full GunCuck, which is amazing. And this is just an homage. This is just an homage to the Second Amendment in the United States. We often forget what level of freedom we actually have in the United States. The Second Amendment is a great example of it. And the infringements that we see and we go, hey, this is crazy. Like, I don't need to be on a government list. I don't need this. I don't need this restriction here, this hurdle here. Other countries don't see those. Like, they see those as normal. We see them as infringements and restrictions that need to be justified by the government. Other countries do not. So I want to highlight that, because it's, when you hear like what's going on, is New South Wales in the UK? I think so. When you hear what's going on, or is that an Australian one? It's insane. To an American, it's an insane circumstance. So we're going to hit that real quick. And then finally, we've got drug testing the homeless in San Francisco. And the proposed drug testing and treatment of the homeless actually comes from the Democrat mayor of San Francisco. Now, this is, in my opinion, this is a political move, but this should tell you the absolute state of that city. It's a fucking disaster. And so this is a great illustration. When the Democrat mayor is proposing that any homeless person who's looking to receive city services, like staying at a shelter, having some sort of monetary assistance, has to be drug tested and treated for drug addictions if they find, drugs, then that city's got to be in fucking shambles. So we're going to talk about that. And then we'll hit the What the Fuck Wednesday topics. And I've got a couple other things that we may throw in there at my leisure. That was way dramatic, but it really didn't need to be. So yeah, where the fuck can I get a reasonably sized window? You thought I was going somewhere else. Oh, I do have we may get to this one. There was a representative firmly and fiercely defending kids' rights to flavored milk like chocolate and strawberry in their school lunches. And he actually used the come and take it flag with a cannon on it, but he replaced it with a carton of milk. Okay. So we'll probably hit that story as well. Marion Holtzman says, I'm going to need to go to bed. Catch you in rerun tomorrow over morning coffee. Have fun, y'all. Hey, good night, Marion. I hope you have a great night and get a good night's sleep. Thank you, of course, for the super chat. For those of you who are here, we are live on YouTube and Rumble, as we are every night. About an hour into the show, we will transition into the other gender and be on Rumble exclusively, which is always a great time. That happens about an hour into the show. So if you want to catch the full stream, the link to the Rumble show is in the pinned comment in the YouTube chat. It's also in the description of YouTube. We have a new sponsor tonight, and I need to actually see if I have to make sure I'm actually saying it right. The sponsor is, well, it's in my email. I got to pull it up. So we'll get to there as well. And a big shout out, of course, to my locals people. And with that, again, not to delay the show too much longer. I've been really terrible at having a show get going. But we have a special offer. We have a special offer today for locals. For locals, and this is done by locals. It's a promotion that they are doing with some of their locals communities, and we are offering a free month to join locals, to check it out specifically within my community, and you will have access to all of the content there. There you go. It's really simple. I'm about to go tweet it out. I just have to make sure I get the right link. Give me a second here. Let me get this. Here we go. Let me get this pulled up. I'm going to tweet this out. I'll share it in the chat as well. The chat on Rumble and the chat on YouTube have this. I'm sharing this link right now. You can go there. You can use the promo code support free speech and get a 1 month access to the locals community. Come check it out. Join the Degenerate exclusive locals chat. Participate in Ass Wednesday or Thirsty Thursday or whatever other themed day you want to participate in. Remember what the internet was like before every fucking thing you did was censored and controlled by the government. It is a great place to be. So I am supposed to, I got to compose this tweet right now, and I've got requirements. So I make sure I do it right for this. So here we go. Share a thought on the value of being independent and supporting free speech. Include the hashtag support free speech. Tag on locals and Rumble video if you're on Rumble, and include the link. Okay, let's do this. Let's do this real quick. Hey, are you tired of being censored by big cuck? I mean, big tech? The internet was made to be free, and speech must remain free for all humankind. Come check out at On Locals and at Rumble Video. At Rumble Bunny? Who's that hoe? Rumble Video. To support free speech and spit. Wait, I think I have to do hashtag support free speech. That's what we got to do. Hashtag support. This is great. This is riveting. Free speech and spit in the butthole of censors everywhere. Boom. This promo expires on October 1st. Oh, I've like one too many characters. You know, I always do this. If I can get rid of some of these periods, like menopause. And let's see. I'll just say spit in the butthole of censors. There we go. Then there's the link. There we go. We've got it. I'm posting it now. If you are on Twitter, go ahead and share that out there. Spread the word like a pair of luscious cheeks and let everybody know how they can get free access on Locals for 1 month. Check it out and remember what free speech actually is. Big tech is so hasty now to censor everything you say. They have algorithms to just block your comments from even showing up. It's like, well, sometimes I have a banger of joke, but it really involves like black people or something. You should never be hampered in your comedy or in your thoughts or opinions about reality. You get to own your statements. You get to own who you are, what you say, what you believe, and you get to own everything about that. And platforms that stop you from being able to own the beliefs that you hold dear are garbage. Looking at you, YouTube. Looking at you, Twitter, who still has my man Camelot banned. So anyway, thank you for humoring me. Again, if you're on Twitter, if you have a Twitter account and you feel like it, please go and retweet that post, promote it, click like on it or whatever, and make sure people know how to do that. Also, click the fucking link, bigots, and get in this goddamn chat because the Locals chat is something special. All right. There we go. There we go. Let's get to this first story, this Kevin Costner story. And we'll see how it goes. All right, so we've got this thing. Run out of options. Kevin Costner's ex-wife regrets divorce after losing badly in support war, sources claim. Man, that makes her look fucking terrible, doesn't it? Like, well, I didn't really win in the divorce. Now I kind of wish I would have just stayed with him. Jesus. That's like the worst thing I can imagine. Like, you wish you would have stayed in a marriage that was like, was the marriage failing? I have no idea. Like, right? We don't know what the circumstances were. But she allegedly felt bad enough that she needed to leave. And now she's like, well, I would have just stayed. Like, oh, God, that's even colder. You horrific monster. It really does make you look like a gold-digging piece of shit, doesn't it? Like, well, if I would have known I would have lost in the divorce, I would have just stayed with him. Like, fuck, poor guy. You got to feel for Kevin Costner in this situation, right? Like, you've got this marriage, you got this person, mother of kids. We were talking about Pierce Brosnan. Was it yesterday or the night before? I think it was yesterday. Talking about Pierce Brosnan and his wife, 22 years. They're still together. They're happy. They've got kids. Like, everything seems to be going great. Like, that's what you want to happen. And it doesn't seem like Pierce Brosnan's wife's like, well, I'm only staying with him because I'll get cleaned out in the divorce. Now, as some background story, this chica on the right is his ex-wife. She's 49, I think. So she looks, I mean, I don't know how recent that picture is. She looks good for 49. She looks good for younger than 49, but she looks pretty good. They did have a prenup. And this prenup had a provision that if they separated, she would be entitled to $1.5 million. $1.5 million straight off the fucking top, right to her. But if she challenged the prenup, she doesn't get $1.5 million. Guess what happened? She fucked around and found out. So let's check this out. Kevin Costner's ex-wife, Christine Baumgartner, allegedly regrets dumping the Yellowstone star after her demands for hefty child support payments were shut down in their $400 million divorce. Now, this is illustrative of why this prenup was critical. Kevin Costner has an estate, or a marital estate, allegedly worth $400 million. If she wins, she's presumably entitled to $200 million or so of that money, half. Now, it's not that cut and dry. It's not that cut and dry because, it depends on how long you're married. If you're only married for a year in a lot of states, you're not going to get half. You'll get 10%, and that'll tick up, for a couple years. But still, even 10% of 400 million is a shitload of money, $40 million, right? Now, she had agreed, though, that it would be $1.5 million. They got married a while back. Kevin Costner hadn't done Yellowstone. And Costner is a phenomenal actor, great director, writer, producer, director, all of those things. But if you notice something about Costner, he doesn't have a giant list of credits. His credits are fucking solid. They're really good, but they're not huge. So Costner's a successful actor, but he's not one of these guys that's worth he only recently became worth this 400 million figure. He would have been worth considerably less probably when they got married. So the $1.5 million prenup was probably a much greater percentage of the existing marital estate. But hey, that's what you sign up for. I mean, he has all the potential in the world to make a bunch of money. You could negotiate for more, or you could say, actually, I'm not marrying you for money. I'm marrying you because I like you, right? So I don't mind that if this thing breaks down, I get $1.5 million, which is nice because I get to adjust my life and find out how I'm going to support myself with this sum of money. But it wasn't about the luxury, right? Right? It's not supposed to be about the luxury. Marriage isn't supposed to be about that fucking bag. So $1.5 million is a nice, generous thing. Like, what does she bring to the table here for Kevin Costner? I mean, again, this guy's Hollywood, whatever. Now, interestingly, last year or the year before, I actually got to meet Kevin Costner at a charity event. He was speaking at the charity event, and I bought a guitar that was signed by him for the charity event. Okay. He has a band. He plays guitar. He sings. Not great, but he has a band. We've seen the band live. It's fun is a great way to describe it. Not groundbreaking, not revolutionary, but fun. So we bought this guitar, and that we also got an opportunity through that purchase to meet him for 30 fucking seconds. Like, this was not an in-depth meeting here. The meeting was actually completely inconsequential. He was basically like, get me the fuck, I will sign these things and then get me away from these grimy people. I'm making that way ruder than it was. He's a celebrity. He's around people all day. And the appearance thing, he was just done with it at that point. But it's pretty funny because he's like, okay, are we good here? I need to go. I need to go to bed. Prior to that, though, he did do a stage show, which was set up weirdly as an interview. Someone he knew was interviewing him about himself to the audience, which is easier than talking about yourself, I guess, for some people. Like, because you can get up and do a one-man show and do like this is my autobiography orally. If you want oral, come talk to me later. Or you can give your autobiography through a set of questions asked by someone else. It lets you bounce off and have a little natural energy back and forth. People do it different ways. I don't know. I've never done my autobiography on stage. I am now, though. I'm going to do that. I'll sell tickets to it for $70,000 because if you buy a ticket to that, you should be shot. Anyway, one of the interesting things that Costner talked about, I think this relates to his relatively less than Hollywood liberal perspective. he cannot get his movies and projects funded. He often ends up funding them himself. So one thing to kind of like note about Kevin Costner and his fortune, how it has changed over the years, is despite his litany of successes, both as an actor, a leading role actor, and as a writer and director of film, um, studios will not fund his projects, even though they end up making money all the time because he's talented and he has great name recognition, but they won't fund his project. So he's often funding these projects himself. The downside of that is it's a huge investment, big risk. The upside of that is you get to reap the financial rewards. Yellowstone, I believe, was one of these projects that was largely, at least at first, funded and owned by Kevin Costner. This $400 million purse is the result of the success of Yellowstone and also, his major contribution to owning it. Some studio didn't like give him some pittance of money and fund Yellowstone. He did. Pretty cool. But again, the reason I bring that up is as he's talking about this and he's talking about how hard it is for him personally to get these projects done, even though they often are successful. I think he funded Dances with Wolves. Pretty sure he funded Open Range, some other movies. Like Dances with Wolves ended up winning Best Picture. He won Best Actor. I don't remember. Highly lauded movie. But he ended up funding these projects. And same thing as it goes here. But that's just to point out this $400 million deal. This is new money. And probably, honestly, what is fueling, this chick's desire to, or her previous desire to walk away from the marriage. Like, well, she's like, I'm still 49 and I can have my hot girl summer with a lot of money or whatever. But I'd have a lot more money if I take half of his bag, which is now $200 million. When we met, might have been $30 million or something like that. Now it's $200 million that she gets. That's a lot. 200 million is generational wealth. Properly structured, you can live an exceedingly lavish lifestyle and never outspend what you earn. And I'm not even talking about like you have to be frugal and reasonable. You could be unreasonable. That's the level of money that makes money forever. For you, for your kids, for their kids, and maybe some for their kids after that, but at least for you in the next 2 generations. So she's looking at that going, that's a diamond crusted dildo, baby. And so she does this, but, we often overinflate like how much celebrities are worth because a lot of the highest profile ones can be worth a shitload of money. But getting below the top 0.1% is just like in any other industry. You have some that are pretty wealthy, and then you have a bunch that are upper middle class to lower rich. And then you have some that are just downright middle class workers out there earning their bones by taking every project they can take, making $60,000 to $70,000 a year and really fucking slugging it out to get that. And that's tough in Hollywood, right? Like that's tough income. So here we go. As we reported earlier this month, Costner and Baumgartner announced they had finalized a deal to end their bitter court war. She's cute. Sources spilled the unemployed handbag designer 49. So she's a handbag designer, apparently. She's a handbag designer. I'm not aware. Like, look, I'm not a rich. I don't deal in handbags. My wife has a couple purses. She only has one like kind of expensive purse. Like I know some chicks who have like $900, $1,500, $3,000 purses and stuff like that. I think my wife's most expensive purse is like $350, something like that. Which I was like, Jesus Christ, it's a purse. But I mean, okay, I guess. Like it'll last for a long time because you'll never wear it. Because this is how purses go with women, right? Like oh, this is the greatest purse ever. It matches this outfit. It's like, how are you going to wear that one outfit with that purse? One time. But so it's going to last a while. But, I know some people, they spend thousands on purses, lots of women. But so as a toe dipper into not even luxury, just moderately higher end mall purses, I've never heard of Baumgartner purses. Have you? I've heard of like Burberry and Coach and Kors and Louis Vuitton, but never Baumgartner. So I don't know how successful of a handbag designer she is. So just saying that, like she's an unemployed handbag designer. I think if you say handbag designer, the world assumes unemployed as the prefatory clause of that safe. You don't need to say it. It should be in brackets. It's removable. You're a handbag designer. You're unemployed. Almost all of it. But anyway, she felt she had no choice. And this is amazing. She felt she had no choice but to settle with Costner, who's 68, after her former meal ticket came out on top in multiple court clashes, including a war over their prenup, sources spilled. Christine caved because her lawyer advised her to cut bait and run, an insider dish to the National Enquirer. The actor's powerhouse legal team had already succeeded in slashing the star's support payments for the pair's children, Caden, Hayes, and Grace, 16, 14, and 13. And this is where, so there's a couple major places, three, we'll say. There are three major places where divorces get financially ridiculous. One is on property. And I don't just mean like real property. Or property like cars and stuff like that. Real property is land, usually with buildings attached. Then you have property like cars and electronics and wardrobes and jewelry and all that stuff. And then you have the rest of the property, which will often include a bank account, right? Like there's money there, investments, there are assets. There may also be liabilities, and those can be split too. It all kind of depends on how it works out. But what you do is you take the assets and the liabilities, you determine if any of those assets were pre-existing the marriage and were maintained as separate from the marriage, right? Usually we're talking about gifts, like, or inheritances, or some specific savings account or retirement account that was set up prior to the marriage, and then they have to remain completely separate from the marriage. That means you can't put their name on the account. You can't have like checks and transfers going out of that account and into their account. You can't give them an allowance or anything like that. The more you commingle the funds between a pre-existing account and a marital account, the more the pre-existing account starts to become a marital account that the other person should expect to have access to. Like, you can't buy them gifts from the premarital account. If you're keeping it separate, keep it fucking separate. That's a key. Most people fail here. But you have your premarital estate, and then you have the marital estate, assuming the premarital estate was kept separate. The marital estate will include everything that's been earned during the marriage, and any commingled funds that the person has gained access to through the course of the marriage and the relationship and expectations. Okay. So that marital estate is usually a big fucking banger because it's half your stuff. It includes your house, usually. It includes your cars. It includes your savings accounts, investment accounts, your cryptocurrency, it could include your OnlyFans account or whatever. Like, all of these things will be included in that marital estate if they existed after the marriage or were incorporated into the marriage in sort of common use. All right. That's the first place people get really boned. The second place is becoming increasingly disfavored depending on the state you're in, but not entirely disfavored. Don't get me wrong. It still exists. Even in states where it's disfavored, it exists. And that is spousal support, commonly called alimony. This is the idea that there's an income earner and there's typically a non-income earner, and that non-income earner had generated a sufficient value to the marriage that the income earner needs to compensate, because had they not been generating that value, they would have been generating money, right? Had they not been at home watching the kids, doing the dishes, keeping the house cleaned, maintaining social relationships, throwing parties for friends and business partners or whatever, they would have been out earning income, or could have been out. Like, she's an unemployed handbag designer. Presumably, at some point, she was employed and say, well, I could have been making $150,000 a year, but instead I was at home raising the kids and being a loving wife to my husband, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? Alimony is a recognition that either temporarily, or in some cases permanently, a high income earner or a higher income earner will recognize the value that was brought to the marriage, and they will have to compensate them for that loss of value. Because if it's temporary, the recognition is this person needs a little bit of time, maybe 2 or 3 years, maybe 4 years, 5 years, to reintegrate into working society and make up for the sacrifice of their income potential that was there. Maybe they need to go to school, pursue finishing a degree. Maybe they can show that I was about to graduate. We got married. I didn't graduate. I mean, she's 49 and their oldest kid is 16. So I don't think this is an issue, but it's possible. Like, you can understand for younger couples, like, well, I was going to graduate. I had almost all my credits, but I stopped working because we were going to move. He graduated, had a great job, and I was going to raise the kids. Well, now they may need to go back to school, finish their degree, and then enter the workforce. So temporary spousal support or alimony would bridge the gap of their non-income earning self to an income earning self. Then there can be permanent alimony, again, becoming increasingly disfavored, but still exists in some states, especially liberal states like California. But the idea there is that you have to permanently support them. Maybe the income disparity was too high. Maybe the marriage was long enough that you can never reasonably recover from the marital investment in a monetary way. And if you think about it this way, if a man and a woman are married for 25 years and the man's the sole income earner for those 25 years and they get divorced, the woman cannot be expected to bridge the gap of 25 years of work experience. Now, was she actually going to work for 25 years? Debatable, right? Who knows? But there's no way she can make up 25 years of promotions and experience and networking and all that shit. So they might say that in certain circumstances, a permanent alimony is justified because of the investment in the relationship. These are all things that can happen. So first you got the estate. Then you've got alimony or spousal support. And then finally, the third one where people get boned is child support. And child support is not like alimony or spousal support. Child support is highly favored and seen indeed as a right that the children possess. And that is that depending on the split of income, and states do this a little bit differently, but the general gist is this. The husband's income and the wife's income, get wrecked, gay marriage. Just kidding. The two spouses' incomes are combined, and then those incomes are split based on, in part, the amount of parenting time or supervision that each parent has. And it's different statutory schema for each state. It's state by state. I cannot give you a general rule, but as a basic idea, you take these two incomes and then you say, okay, this person has the kids the most. They'll get a percentage of the income, not all of the income, but a percentage of income determined on a math formula, consummate to how much they did not make in the relationship. The idea is that the kids are entitled to the same style of life, no matter if they're with mom or dad. So if dad makes 80% of the income and mom makes 20% of the income, and mom has the overwhelming majority of custody, physical custody, day to day, going to school, doing that stuff, then whatever the child support amount is, the amount that's expected from the total income to be given to the child, the dad will then be expected to pay 80% of that amount. The mom will be expected to pay 20% of that amount in that scenario. That's a basic approach to it. If it's 50-50, things get a little bit more complicated. And again, it's state by state. But this understanding that, well, 80% of the time they're with their mom, she didn't make as much money as dad, whatever their combined income is, and whatever the kids are entitled to under the statutory schema of the state, dad will cover 80% of that because he's not there. They're with mom. Mom will be expected to cover the 20%. Basic understanding of it. It's not perfect. It's not perfect. It's not a perfect system. And to be clear, this income does consider expenses and all of that stuff. Kevin Costner, small business owner, large business owner, I don't know. He's a guy who has production costs. He has to fund his own projects. And this comes up later. He will have expenditures that will be removed from his income because they're not income. Money comes in, but then goes into a business or some other thing. The same way your taxes work. You're not going to get taxed on you're not going to get child supported on your gross income if you have competent counsel. You're going to get compensated on your net income. And a lot of times that net income can be very flexible. Things like childcare costs, et cetera, healthcare costs, those come out of that figure and you have ways to reduce the amount. But those are the three main areas that people get boned financially. Again, estate, the marital estate, spousal support, child support. Child support is the hardest one to get out of because the kids get to have support. And often the kids get supported by you giving money to the person who now hates you. And they're supposed to spend it all on the kids, but what they do is they spend it on themselves, obviously, especially in a marriage like this. Now, all of that ranting aside, she was originally awarded, to give you an idea of what this looks like in this type of relationship, she was originally awarded $129,000 a month in child support. Which means that each child was effectively entitled to what, $43,000 or $46,000 a month of value from Kevin Costner. It's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. But that actually ends up getting slashed in about half. A little less than half, actually. We'll get to that eventually. But remember how much money at this time Kevin Costner is making. And it's no mistake that she chose this time because this divorce has been going for a while now. That's one thing you have to understand. This didn't happen this week because I know you've probably heard like Yellowstone is not going to have Kevin Costner on it. It's in its last season, all of that stuff, blah, 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 blah. His income from Yellowstone has dropped dramatically. But when she filed for divorce, it's at the peak of Yellowstone's income. So this man is making a fuck ton of money every year, an absolute embarrassing amount of money from Yellowstone and his other projects when she files for divorce. So the initial amount is based on that thing. But child support is not static. Now Kevin Costner is not making as much money. He has other investments that's covered in the article, and it's been slashed down. But just to give you an idea, a high income earning A-list celebrity who's worth $400 million is going to be paying $129,000 a month in child support for 3 kids. You may think that's ludicrous, and it is, but also for what Kevin was making 2 years ago, 3 years ago or whatever, when Yellowstone was super popular, maybe in the second season, $129K a month is nothing to him. It's absolutely nothing. And that's hard for us to imagine, right? Who makes $129,000 a month? Much less, who makes enough money to part with $129,000 a month? It's insane amounts of money to normal people. But these people don't live normal lives. They don't live in a monetary reality of the average. These are the top 0.1% earners. So, again, it's going to be entirely based on what everybody's earning in the parental status. But this is the trap. So, Kevin's biggest risk, though, is not the $129K a month. It's the $200 million from the estate. And that's what the prenup is there to tackle. So Baumgartner was initially awarded $129,000 in temporary support. A couple of days later, she demanded the amount be increased by $32,000. Can you fucking imagine? You're making $130K a month almost. And you ask, well, got to be up to 160. We got to get that number up to 160 a month. 130 is just not enough for me. I'm sorry. And these kids, they really need, that's insane to me. It's an insane proposition. In court, she testified that their 3 children have luxury in their DNA. That's a gold digger thing to say. And needed to live the same lifestyle with her as their father. And this is worded stupidly, but it is true. They're entitled to the same standard of living. That's the child support standard. Costner argued that Baumgartner was basing her request off his finances when he was pulling in Yellowstone paychecks. The actor was being paid millions per season, but recently left the show. He also testified that he invested $20 million into his upcoming film Horizon. So again, this is what I was talking about earlier. Costner's having to fund his own projects. So he dumps $20 million into this. That's a business expense. That's off of his income. He's no longer receiving millions per season of Yellowstone. Who knows what he gets off residuals? I have no idea. It would probably make all of our incomes look hilarious, but still, way different style. Costner said he would not be able to pay substantial support per month without having to sell off real estate or other assets. Judge ended up ordering Costner to pay $63,000 per month to support to his ex. The judge also informed Baumgartner that the ironclad prenuptial agreement she'd signed nearly 2 decades ago would be enforced. So again, you've got Kevin Costner with his net worth 20 years ago when she signed the prenup. And even at that time, she's offered $1.5 million. $1.5 million is a shitload of money. Even if you're rich, $1.5 million is a shitload of money. And she should have taken the deal and walked away. She signed the agreement. Fuck you. Like, look, I'm sorry that you think you're super cool and entitled to money. You signed the agreement because you said it wasn't about money. 20 years go by, now it's about money? Well, that's weird. I thought it was about, the family, the kids, relationship, all that stuff. And I get it. They break down. Sometimes they got to go. But you don't get to now say, well, now it's about money, though. I changed my fucking mind. I mean, you can do that. You can talk to your spouse. Say, let's shred that prenup. Let's void that thing. That's silly. I love you forever. And, of course, divorce him the next day or whatever. But you didn't do that. Prenup's still in there. You just thought, I can beat this thing. Now, beating a prenup happens in a couple ways. It's almost always because the prenup is defective in its execution. After that, you have defectiveness in drafting, but it's in execution where you find this happens a lot. Now, if you're entering a prenup agreement with your spouse and you're the drafter, what you have to do is make sure that your spouse has independent representation, or your presumptive spouse has independent representation to review the prenup, make recommendations, and negotiate against you. The crazy thing is, you usually have to pay for that representation, but you can have no say, and you can have no interest in what they accomplish. You're paying them to negotiate against you. Usually because a drafting party on a prenup is a moneyed party with a significantly less moneyed party on the other end, right? That's why these things exist. I actually think they should be part of a marital contract in general. I think prenups should be standard. I do not think that they should be this taboo prospect. I think people should be entering into marriage without considerations for financial gain in the future. Now, I don't have a prenup. I wasn't a lawyer when I got married. If I got married today, I would have a prenup. Period. Even when I was broke, but also a lawyer, I would still have a prenup. We would set this shit out ahead of time because it's a better way to do it. It makes clear the terms of the agreement. Now, I don't have any intention of ever being with anyone other than my wife, but I would still have a prenup. Absolutely. I think they should be the norm. I think the terms of your divorce should not be determined by a government. I think they should be determined by your agreement, because I think the terms of everything should be determined by agreement. In fact, I don't think the government should have any say in marriages at all. I don't want the government to marry people. I want all marriages that have any sort of relationship that needs to be dealt with by government, like a tax and shared income relationship or whatever, shared property. I want that to be governed by contract, not by a government default contract, because too many people don't have the knowledge of what's in that government contract. I know I didn't when I was 22. Did you guys when you got married? Do you now? You know your specific states? They changed the laws. And they changed the laws while you're married. And the new law applies, not the law when you were married. It's kind of crazy how that works. That's not how most things function, but it is how this thing functions. I don't think the government should have any interest in a default marriage agreement or arrangement. I think all of them should be governed by private contract if couples want them. And I think that all marriages, I think those should all be civil unions, to be very clear. I think that all marriages should be governed by individuals' personal beliefs and faiths, if they have one. Like, we want to get married in our church under our church's ideas. Cool. Great for you. Like, we don't like gay marriage. Great. And then gays over there want to get married under their gay church. And they say, like, oh, our gay church loves our gay marriage. Cool. Great. I don't give a shit. I don't fucking care. We can all get civil unions, be great. But all those civil unions will come with a private contract that is drafted by, you can imagine the industry of lawyers that would crop up around this. Say, hey, we draft marriage contracts between parties. Cool, we can do this. It's not even fucking hard. It's done every single day in every other relationship that exists. Why not marriage? Anyway, in the absence of that system, everyone should have a prenup. It should not be taboo. It should be standard. It should not be a thing where, like, you're scared to offer it. The woman's like, I'm not going to do that. If you don't love me, don't have it. If she won't sign it, or he, if you're a rich woman, don't get married. I said it. Don't get married. Why the fuck wouldn't you? Now, granted, the term should be reasonable. You should have representation. You should have this hashed out, negotiated. But at the end of the day, if they won't sign it, don't get married. Because you have to ask why. Now, again, I don't have one. But if I were getting married after going to law school, I would definitely 1000% have one. And haven't asked her because it's irrelevant. But I think she would have signed one. Because we determined a long time ago that we're stuck together. Our marriage is a great, fantastic suicide pact. Hopefully the suicide is by old age. But that's it. We're together. We're us. And thick, thin, we took those vows very fucking seriously. Rich, poor, sick, health, doesn't matter. We're each other's. So I think we would have signed them. But I can't say for sure, right? Like, I can only guess. But my advice to anybody getting married is sign that prenup. Now, let's not be too hasty. Most of y'all motherfuckers don't got nothing to take. I know when I got married, I got nothing to take. I had jack and shit, but that was all. And that's the reality. Most, people get married young. The majority of marriages happen fairly young. Early on in careers, people do not have a ton of property. They're not bringing a lot. It doesn't matter. You should hammer this stuff out. And you can hammer it out with percentages. You can make agreements, especially if you know that one of you is going to be stay at home, the other's not. Like, you can do all this. And you can be advised through it. It'd be fantastic. Start making it the norm. But most people don't have anything to take when they're getting married. So that's why they're never thinking about this. Like, what? You want half of my negative $7 in my bank account? Cool. Good luck. Or you want that car note? You want half that car note? Have it. Have that credit card debt from that vacation we took for our honeymoon? All yours. That's why it's not, they're not commonly done. Most people are not moneyed to the point of this being a normal thing, but it should be. That's my point in this. Prenups make wedding vows look empty. Why? No. That's an interesting chat. Miss Allison D says prenups make wedding vows look empty. Why is that? I think they make wedding vows look full. Because the prenup says that our relationship is not based on finances or economics or property. And when you go to the altar and you say, through thick and thin, through health and sickness, in good times and bad, for richer or for poorer, you literally mean it because you have a document saying that you do. You have a document signed saying that even if you take off and get rich or I take off and get rich, we've already established what the split will be. It's not about the split. I do not think they make wedding vows look hollow. In fact, I would firmly assert that it's the opposite. And it's that kind of automatic assumption about what it does to a wedding vow that I think taints the normalcy of prenups. Makes wedding vows look hollow. Oh, yeah, you don't mean it. Wait, so, and look, let me entertain the argument, right? The argument is that if a guy typically proposes a prenup to a presumptive spouse, he's thinking financially about his marriage. But if a woman refuses a prenup proposed by a spouse, is she thinking financially about their marriage? Why don't we think that way? I mean, the converse must be true if the original basis is true. But then the second question that follows is, one, it's not thinking financially about your marriage, by the way. That's a misnomer. A misnomer is a misnamed or misapplication or mislabeled thing. You're thinking financially about the possible negative outcome, which would be a divorce, a dissolution, a separation, a severance of the marital agreement. The marriage with a prenup, ideally, a prenup is completely worthless. It's a worthless investment that will never be used. You've spent money on a thing that is meaningless, right? Because you're going to stay together forever. Law and Lumber. Oh my God, Rob. We got to hang out soon, brother. Why is Nick speaking my language at 1:30 a.m.? We got to hang out soon because I know this is your wheelhouse. If you guys don't know, Rob, the lady killer of Law and Lumber. And by lady killer, I mean he's an axe murderer of women, literally, not jokingly. Sometimes he used table saws, but mostly just an axe. Just kidding. Rob's a family law attorney, and he knows all this shit. He knows all of this shit. A prenup has nothing to do with a marriage. A prenup has everything to do with a dissolution. So this concept that a prenup is a financial view or a property view or a materialistic view of a marriage is wrong. It's an insurance policy for both parties. And that's something that's missed out. A properly negotiated prenup, everybody thinks of them as millionaire husband puts prenup on broke OnlyFans wife or whatever, like Instagram model wife, right? That's the standard thought that prenups evoke in people. That's incorrect. A prenup could simply say, look, the husband or wife has completed medical school. In the event of a split after 10 years, rather than a presumptive 50-50 split of the marital estate, we will say that the medical doctor, far out earning the spouse, will receive 70% or 80% of the marital estate because they've done that much of the income, and that the other will receive this amount of the estate. You can pre-select spousal support. You say, in recognition that the mother or father is going to be a stay-at-home spouse, we're going to say that they will be entitled to 1/10 of the current income at the time of the severance of the marriage as spousal support for a period of 18 months, 24 months, whatever you want to do. Prenups are not set in stone to be this thing that is punitive towards the less earning party at a certain amount. That's just become the popular aspect of them because that's the commonplace we see them. A celebrity getting divorced, a billionaire getting divorced, whatever, and their spouse getting some predetermined amount. But that doesn't have to be a prenup. Prenups are just a prenuptial arrangement about the potential of a severance in the future. And they're extremely flexible because it's just contract, baby. And almost all contract terms are presumptively valid so long as they are not unconscionable, which means that when the wife gets divorced, the husband gets to chop her legs off and call her Stephen Hawking while pissing on her back. Like, that would be unconscionable. But the idea that you can sever by percentages of income or percentages of contribution to the family estate or whatever it is not unconscionable. And you have tons of leverage on that. Rob says most of his prenups are like 5 pages. They do not have to be complicated. In fact, it's better if they're not. And drafted for younger folks. Smartest money they ever spend. Like I said, it's like health insurance. This is true. And this is something lawyers have fucked up over the years. And I ran into this in law school because I draft with brevity. I do not sit there and belabor a bunch of bullshit when I draft documents. I write them to be understood very simply by everyone involved. And so long as everyone understands what's going on, we've got this little microscopic bug flying around. So long as everybody is on the same page, you have this understandable agreement. And that's the trick. It does not have to, like a lease agreement does not have to be 70 pages. They can be considerably shorter. But because lawyers like to pad things out and charge more, they make them longer and longer and longer. And they write in a bunch of shit that is not necessary into these agreements. But hey, that's how it goes. But prenups don't have to be these things. Now, if you're Elon Musk getting married to like an Android or a Tesla that you really want to shove your dick in the tailpipe of, maybe Elon Musk's prenup is really fucking complicated. And it should be. If you're a Bitcoin billionaire, your prenup should be really complicated because tackling crypto and a prenup is a really tricky prospect. You could be a billionaire today and a pauper tomorrow. But most people aren't. Like Rob says, most of them are normal people in average situations, because that's most people. But it's still great to lay out what you expect. Later on, you never know what the state will do to laws. And you get to determine your exit strategy for the husband and the wife, or husband and husband, or wife and wife, as it may be, or they and them. I don't know, furries. Well, I think if you're a furry, if you get divorced, I think the other person gets to kill you, right? Because that's what you do with a defective dog, is you shoot it. So therefore, my pug is still alive. Pugs are all defective by nature, so I signed up for that. But all other defective dogs, you just fucking kill. So I think if furries get divorced, one gets to shoot the other. Anyway, the idea that you get to determine your exit strategy and not the state is of immense value. This is why people write wills or create inter vivos trusts or create remainder trusts or other, use business arrangements like LLCs to determine how their money will be distributed to their kids or their kids' companies or whatever it is. The reason you do this is because you all have a will. If you have never paid a lawyer a fucking dime, you all have a will. Your will was just written by a congressman who doesn't know you. So go get a will or have a trust established if you have anything at all. It's not that much more expensive to get a trust than a will. And your trust can do things while you're still alive. Will be much more efficient and effective for your for the beneficiaries. But either one, you control what happens to your estate when you die, not the state. The state's retarded 10 times out of 10. Same thing with your marriage. You hope it never fucking fails. Of course you do. Marriages only don't fail. Only don't fail. I'll say this. I'll lay my dick on the fucking table on this one. Marriages only don't fail. Not when both spouses don't fuck up, because it's a marriage. You're gonna fuck up unless one of you dies like a year later. Oh, they died right away. Stop it. We had a perfect marriage. You did not. You're married for a year and a half. You don't know shit. Anyway, it's not because the spouses don't fuck up. You will, on any timeline, fuck up in your marriage. And so will your spouse. That's not the question. The question is, do both spouses swear and promise to remain committed to maintaining the marriage and then uphold that promise? That's a hard fucking prospect for a lot of people on a 2-decade timeline, a 3-decade timeline, a 4-decade timeline. Women, your husbands are retarded. You know this. You know your husband's retarded. That man will shove a sparkler in his ass and jump off the roof, hoping that when the sparkler lights, he'll propel into the stratosphere because it'd be funny. You know he's going to die or do something dumb and fuck you. Why would you not do this? And men, you know women, they can die online shopping. They're like, look at all this lingerie I'm going to buy for you. And then they'll die clicking because they won't eat because all they're doing is buying fucking lingerie. Women are retarded when it comes to Amazon. You know this, guys, and you know this, women. Both of y'all spouses are fucking dumb. They're all goddamn dumb. So why would you let a considerably more retarded person, and that's a congressman, write what happens in the event that the other person doesn't uphold their end of the deal? They don't honor their promise. Maybe they go crazy. Maybe they're off their meds. Who knows what it fucking is? You can't predict what someone will be 10 years from now, much less what they'll do. I'm the biggest proponent of marriage, probably that you'll find on the right, other than Daily Wire. But Daily Wire people are cucks and retarded and all short, universally short. But I digress. I'm the biggest proponent of marriage you'll find in this sector, baby. And still, I recognize after 19 years of marriage that both my wife and I, we are not, you hear this all the time. Well, they're not the person I married. No, they're not. They won't be. 7 years in at the longest, they will be radically different than who you married. And you will be radically different than who they married. You have to understand that. 14 years in, you're a second different person. That's only if you got married right away. Like if you dated for 2 years, it's going to be 5 years and then 12 or whatever. But around this 7-year periodic cycle, people change. And they change dramatically. They're not the same person. Wait, my wife married a narcissistic retard who thought he was funny. I'm pretty much the same. I'm pretty much the same as who my wife married. She knew what she was getting into, but no, she could have never predicted that I would be a public person, that I would be speaking online. When we got married, I barely drank. And now I drink and hit her. It's a joke. It's jokes. Jesus Christ. The internet's so retarded. But I barely drank. I didn't swear as much when we got married. When we were dating, I swore all the fucking time. She knew what she was fucking getting. No, but like, you change. I was going into banking and finance. I ended up in law. Who wants to marry a lawyer? No one. Who ends up marrying a lawyer? Every divorcee of a lawyer ever. But you're different. You're different people. You're built differently. And you will become different people over time. Your interests change. Life influences you. It's a fucking river, whatever Bette Midler wants to sing about. You'll be different, and so will they. The only way you preserve it, the only way you do that is by waking up every day and saying, I want to like this person who is getting on my fucking nerves and is stupid. Every day, like, you have to do that, because there will be days when you go to sleep going, why are they stupid? And you'll wake up going, I have to love the stupid. I have to love the stupid. I asked them not to buy anything, and they went on an education website and bought 5,000 books. I'm like, well, it's for education. I'm like, get educated on these hands or whatever. And they'll go, I asked him not to do a drunken rant about marriage tonight, and then he did. And he called me retarded. But I'm going to wake up in the morning and say, I love that Down syndrome piece of shit, because at least he's cute. Right? This is how it works. You can't predict what you're doing. Can't predict this shit. So again, don't leave. Your marriage is probably your most important decision. Even if you have 3 of them, they're the 3 most important decisions you ever make. Don't leave the potential negative results of that decision in the hands of a politician. Take it into your own hands. It's minimal investment. It's a maximal value. And if you need a good prenup, go to Rob at lawandlumber.com. Don't be confused by all the pictures of him in leather thongs and vests and hats. He is definitely not gay, and he is definitely not promoting pseudo homosexuality on that page. Just email him and say, I want a prenup. All right. I legitimately love Rob from Law and Lumber. We're going to have to do a show really soon, because dude's great. Genuine guy, stand-up guy. Much better than Stephen Hawking. Not a stand-up guy at all. Piece of shit who wouldn't stand up for anything. Fagan's Law says it's a shame that a lot of family law attorneys don't know jack about bankruptcy as well, since a lot of that factors in, or so I've been told by smarter types. Look, bankruptcy can factor in. It doesn't necessarily. It just depends, man. It always depends on what you got. Okay. Now, we're going to talk about our sponsor today. Do I have a link to them? Where's the fucking link? Oh my God. CozyEarth.com. Okay. We're going to get back to this. Look, I don't have too many opportunities to talk about the legal realities of marriage, because I am always talking about the cultural and personal side of marriage. I'm a huge fucking proponent. Huge proponent. Lady Rackets has been the greatest bad decision I've ever made. And I like her a lot. I would make the same retarded decisions again. I say right now, like, oh, well, I'd absolutely have a prenup. In theory, I would. But I'm an absolute simp for her. Like, it's embarrassing. It's because she's kind of cute. And she drives me fucking crazy every day. But then she'll like smile or like have her hair done. I'm like, God damn it. Anyway, I'm a huge social proponent of marriage. I think it's a great institution. I hate that the red pill community is fucking attacking it constantly and cheapening it and tearing it down. But I don't often have an opportunity to espouse Spouse being a spouse on the realities, the legal realities of the arrangement. It's a legally, financially risky proposition. That's just true. Has nothing to say about you or your spouse. The system is engineered to put a higher income earner, which red pill communities will say the man. It's literally just that men tend to be the higher income earner. They tend to be that to a tune of like 95+% in marriages, because high income women don't get married to low income men. High income women get married to high or higher income men, because women are good at assessing their value and men are like, but that ass though. We're like, we're worth this and she's worth nothing. But did you see that arc? That's how men work. Women are smarter when they're fucking rich. Now, only rich women. Poor women are dumb. You poor bitches are fucking dumb. We all know this. Rich women are smart. And they go, I have that bag. And I also have that ass, though. So I will marry Jay-Z or whatever it is. I don't fucking know. Who's rich these days? Just become a lesbian and marry Taylor Swift like I would. If I was a lesbian, I would marry Taylor Swift. Don't even at me. You could start at that chick's toes and start licking her leg. It would take you 8 years to get to. If you're a lesbian, just marry Taylor Swift. Listen, women are smart. They marry people richer than them, even when they're rich. Okay? That's what I'm trying to say. Don't clip that out of context. It's not true. T-Swizzles Bay, and we all know it. But seriously, women are actually good at assessing their own value. Men sacrifice their value because titties and ass are great. And they're fucking great, aren't they? We don't care. Like, we throw that away. We go, oh, what do they bring you to the relationship financially? We're like, titties and ass, though. And that's fine. Like, I love them very much. I don't get a chance to talk about the financial and legal ramifications of marriage, though. Men become retarded when their hormones take over. That's the lesson that everybody needs. We all know this. Every guy on earth knows you become fucking stupid the moment your hormones take over and you see something physically and visibly appealing. You're like, I can think of things to do with that, and I don't care about money ever again. Money's not even real. So this is why prenups are important and why talking about this is important in this context. I never want to trash the institution of marriage. So many friends who do. I disagree with all of them. I think it's worth every risk. But while I think it's worth every risk, mitigate those risks where you can. Prenups do that. Okay. I disagree with so many people I talk to about this. They're like, oh, marriage is dead. It's a bad proposition for guys. I'm like, yeah, but when you find the right person, you have the right beliefs, and you have the right alignment, I think it's worth it every fucking time, even when it goes bad. Okay, here we go. You mean Drex? Yeah, Drex and I agree in principle on marriage in a traditional family. Drex and I believe 100%, both of us agree with the institution of marriage in traditional family. Where we differ, though, is Drex says in 2023, the traditional family and marriage doesn't exist because these goddamn hoes and German shepherds are incentivized to break it, whereas men are penalized if they break it. And he's not entirely wrong. He's not entirely wrong. But that's his opinion. His opinion is that marriage and a traditional family are good. You just can't achieve it in 2023. I am not a fucking doom speaker. So I think you actually still can achieve a successful marriage in 2023. I think it's possible. It's hard. I think the overwhelming majority of people should not be married. I think the overwhelming majority of marriages are based in bullshit and should not happen. Our marriage rate should probably be a quarter of what it is or less in my opinion. But society and government have created this idea of marriage that has to occur. They've promoted it, they've propagandized it, and they have made it into something that it never was. So how would you expect it to work out well? I don't know. But the concept of marriage for people who are prepared to engage in that promise to each other, who are prepared to put their faith and belief in something bigger than them in their relationship and incorporate that into their marriage as a foundational principle, like this is bigger than us. And I don't just mean our kids. I mean that there is a thing that we believe in that values and honors this tradition above what we do, beyond our finances. You think beyond our finances, beyond our petty squabbles, they say, look, even if you're miserable, you stay together. You know why? Because I stay together while you're miserable to me. This is a basic Christian outlook, right? Christ is the bridegroom, church is the bride, and Christ says, y'all fuck up constantly. I'm not even going to backhand you, bitch. Look, I'm just going to stick with you because Christ is a weirdo. He forgives everything and he accepts everything. The bride, us, the church, or whoever, right? They know they're going to fuck up constantly. And Christ says, I'm going to deal with you anyway. That's what I think a marriage actually is, both ways. Men and women go, I know you're going to fuck up because it's a marriage. They last forever. We're going to do stupid shit that piss each other off. We're going to forgive each other and move on. That's that. And if you don't have that outlook, if you don't have that anchor to a higher authority, I speak from a Christian perspective, but maybe Muslims are like, the higher authority is, well, if you fuck up, you have to be on the plane that hits the tower. I don't know. Whatever it is. If you don't have that anchor to a higher authority, I don't think you have a marriage that will last. But that's my opinion, okay? I'm not trying to tell you what your marriage is or isn't. Okay. Here we go. I want to share, we have a new sponsor today. And it's Cozy Earth. Shit. Cozy Earth. Look, these motherfuckers at Cozy Earth are out here selling. They're selling all sorts of textiles. But ignore this. Ignore thought propaganda. Oh, a towel on your head like some sort of Afghan. No. Cozy Earth sells great bed sheets. That's what I'm talking to you about because that's what I have. Cozy Earth bed sheets. They are soft. They are comfortable. They keep you cool. They wick moisture either from your pores or from your penis. It doesn't matter. They wick moisture away from you and they feel fucking great. Cozy Earth makes fantastic bed sheets. I only know because they sent me some and I tried them and I snuggled them and I dry humped them and they're fantastic. Legitimately great. And look, I have decently expensive bed sheets, bamboo, cooling bed sheets, all that. Because I have a heat allergy and I sleep kind of hot, right? I don't ever want to wake up in a fucking swimming pool, right? Like, because it's sweaty, it smells like a public swimming pool in the inner city. You don't want that. So I have these, I have nice like bamboo thread sheets that are supposed to moisture wick and keep you cool. They cost way more than these Cozy Earth sheets do. And guess what, guys? The Cozy Earth sheets are better. They're less expensive and they're better. They're not cheap. Don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna. Cheap products are shit anyway. You always like tear through them or have to throw them away. They're not cheap, but they're not as expensive as sheets that you would find to do the same shit in retail, and they're better quality. They're hyper. Look, I'm supposed to avoid saying this. I've got to avoid saying this. This is what they tell me not to say. I'm going to say it right now. Are you ready? Avoid saying hypoallergenic or antimicrobial. Avoid saying buttery soft. Avoid saying organic bamboo or organic silk. Avoid saying no harmful chemicals were used manufacturing this product. Avoid saying made from bamboo. When using the word made, it must be phrased as made with viscose from bamboo. And avoid saying list when referring to Oprah's favorite things. Who would refer to Oprah's favorite things? Jesus Christ, guys. Why would you do this? Why would you? I would never refer to Oprah ever. Oh, God damn it. All right, here we go. Look, here's the reality. Here's the reality. They're made from viscose from bamboo. I don't know what that means, but there you go. They're temperature regulating. I said they keep you not too hot. They get softer with every wash. Ooh, very luxurious. They're sensitive skin friendly if you're a bitch like me, and they are available in 9 colors. Look, there's no, they give me all this shit to say. They always do, but let's just do it this way. I have these sheets. They're phenomenal. I have more expensive sheets with all of the buzzwords that they don't want me to say. Not the Cozy Earth sheets, but other ones that want me to say all those buzzwords, right? I have those. Cozy Earth sheets are better. They're softer. They're cooler. They're nicer. There's no way around it. There's no like, I don't need to go into technology. I don't need to go into anything about this. They're just good fucking sheets. That's it. They have all sizes. They have a shitload of colors to match your stuff. And I'll say this. So you go to cozyearth.com, but let me say this. Get the fuck off my screen for a second. Goddamn ad placement shit. Years ago, long before I did YouTube, when I was just broke, Lady Rackets and I went shopping for a new bed. This has nothing to do with Cozy Earth sheets. And we ended up buying a Tempur-Pedic cloud top mattress. Costs unreasonable amounts of money, especially at the time. Still expensive, but unreasonable for us at the time. But we said investing in sleep is critical. You spend a third of your life asleep, generally speaking. And this is not an ad read. This is not a script. This is reality. The investment in that mattress a decade ago, I think it was somewhere around $10,000 for the bed and the mattress and all that shit. And the adjustable fucking garbage that's on there now. You could probably get a cheaper one and a more expensive one now. I don't know. This 10 years ago, I was not making money from YouTube. I was barely, I was still in law school, I think. It's another one of those things we saved up for. Like, we need a better bed because we'd had the same bed from the time we got married. So our bed was almost 10 years old. Our mattress was almost 10 years old, and it was a hand-me-down. Gross. We're like, we need a real mattress. We need one that's comfortable to sleep on. We invested in it. Now, looking back, it'd be about $1,000 a year of investment. It's still a great mattress. I still sleep like a fucking champion on it. When I'm away from my home, I don't sleep well. The reason I bring this up, your sleep, the time you spend a third of your life and recovering from the other 2/3 of your life is critical. Cozy Earth offers a product that is phenomenally catered to making your sleep better. And most importantly, it works. That's it. There's nothing else I need to say to promote it. Just from someone who values sleep. If you value sleep, these are critical. If you don't value sleep, stop being retarded and value your recovery. So you go to cozyearth.com, use promo code LAW, and I think you get 40% off of these motherfuckers. If you use that, that's a lot. That's a lot. So go check them out. They're new sponsor of the show. Love having them as a sponsor. Again, I always love sponsors that have good products. And I always say, hey, I want to try a product before I sponsor anything. And people have asked me to sponsor stuff. And I've said, no, unless I can try it. And they said, well, we don't want to send you stuff. And I said, peace. Don't do it. Cozy Earth, demanded to send me sheets. They said, I didn't even have to ask. They're like, look, if you try these sheets, you're going to love them. They're not wrong. They're great. So there you go. CozyEarth.com. Use promo code LAW. Get yourself a good discount because they're not cheap. And the reason they're not cheap is because they're very fucking good. All right. With that, we are going to go over to Rumble. I'm going to continue drinking. Oh, wait, we've got some YouTube chats to read through first, but then we will go over to Rumble. We'll continue drinking. We'll continue talking. We're going to have a good time. And we're going to get to What the Fuck Wednesday. This is the Kevin Costner thing is the longest subject by far. The other ones are much quicker. We'll hit them and What the Fuck Wednesday. And then we'll make fun of Rob some more. Here we go. Ryoji Mata says, Omega levels of late and gay going on here, Nick. I know. It's super late tonight. Sorry. No, I'm not sorry. Fuck you. Slagla says, so in-person super chats are now a thing. Remember, it's just jokes, guys. Also, did Elijah finally come out yet? What do you mean in-person super chats are now a thing? Remember, it's just jokes. Are you talking about Riley? Yeah. Look, Riley going to Rippaverse Studios or the warehouse or whatever is retarded in the current environment. But Riley's retarded. You guys know this, right? Like Riley's retarded. So him going there is very stupid in the current environment. But I've seen a lot of shit takes about like the police are going to arrest him for. Okay, we'll wait for that to happen. Look, I hate to fucking do this because again, I want to say very clearly that Riley going to Rippaverse Warehouse is dumb and he should not do it. But if Eric July stood outside a Marvel warehouse, everyone would cheer. Everyone would cheer. Okay? I just want to point that out. And everybody's pretending like they wouldn't. And that's silly. Look, Riley, I disavow you, you fucking fat idiot. You little rotund pimple. Why on earth would you go and antagonize this shit anymore? It needs to end, you fucking idiot. This can just go away. But that being said, everybody's like, oh, the police are going to arrest him for harassment and vandalism. And I bet they won't. I bet they won't. Okay, anyway. It's never mind. The internet's more retarded than a non-prenup. Contrarian 420 says Intolerable Cruelty by the Coen brothers is an underrated masterpiece. Anti-rom-com about divorce lawyers, must see. Yeah, and that's George Clooney and Catherine Zeta-Jones. I only watched it once. I don't watch lawyer movies. But Coen brothers movies are great. Eve Fell says strawberry milk is superior to chocolate. Fight me. Why would I fight you? You're correct. Meh says, hey, Nick, love you. Today is my birthday. Had to break up with my girlfriend, though, because she was unfaithful. And then he does the meh expression. Dude, cheers. Throw one back. You caught it early. You dealt with it. It's over. It's done. Move on. She's not worth your time because she didn't respect you. Cheers. Drop Barracuda. The person receiving child support gets to claim the kids. And the person paying child support still has to pay the taxes on that money. The laws that allow this should be considered statutory R word. I get what you're saying, but just so you know, the taxes taken out of the income are considered in the child support money. It's on net. It's not on gross. The amateur iconoclast says, so a better strategy would have been for Baumgartner to wait out Costner. Yes. If she was fine in the marriage, but she just wanted money, she just should have waited for him to die. A white guy named Tyrone says, you should check out James Sexton, who's a divorce and family attorney. He seems like a pretty smart person, and his take on marriage and divorce is interesting. Maybe, but I have guys like Law and Lumber and Lead Attorney, who are both family attorneys who are also very charismatic and hilarious. And I'm pretty sure if Rob ever met Lead Attorney, it would be an interracial gay marriage that we would all laugh at. Toxic Brew, did you hear about the lady that was stabbed 20 times has been ruled a suicide? Who hasn't suicided themselves with 20 stabbings? No. Savage Darts, is there a government tax incentive for divorce? No, actually. Bullet Bar says, is a trust stronger than a prenup? I hate to give you the lawyer answer, but it depends on the trust. If the trust is completely segregated from the marriage and literally never given access to the spouse, maybe. But you have to justify a trust with an appropriate beneficiary. It can't be an illusory trust where it's like, oh, it's a trust, but it's really just mine. Like there's a bunch with it. Same with prenups. You have to properly execute them. And this is where most people fail on these transactional legal arrangements. They're like, well, I had a prenup. It's like your prenup was shit and you didn't do it right. Same with your trust. Drop Barracuda, furry divorce terms, one less bitch to worry about. Mambo Fuego says, I consider prenup just as an addendum to the marriage document. The legal marriage is just paper with signatures plus notary. Just add the addendum. I agree. DC says, Nick, please read topic pertinent tip chats on locals. Thank you. Okay. We'll get those in just a second. Jesus Davila gifted 2 memberships. Thank you. Icon of Sin 24148 says, can I make a rumble drink form? Can I get a make a rumble drink form of fat shame? Make a rumble drink form of fat shame. You're fat. I don't know what you're saying. Probably because your fat jowls are in the way of your English language, you fucking weirdo. You foreigner. You're so fat that you speak a foreign, intrusive tongue. Get deported, bitch, if we can even lift you. But I know once you land in the ocean, you'll cause tidal waves, but thank God they'll just end San Francisco and LA. Fuck you and your fat ass. Pixlexia, please tell my friend Chikeo that I think he's quite breaded. That being said, he requested a fat shame, but he couldn't do one right now. Please accept my asking instead of him. Also, High Moon. Oh, Chikeo, you too poor for a fat shame? You can spend $2. $2 fucking dollars of fat shame. Why? Your $2 went to that extra large French fries at McDonald's? Or was it 2 of those double cheeseburgers, you grease-riddled fuck? Have you lifted up a single roll of fat and not found necrotized tissue underneath? Can you even sniff in your house without smelling death, decay, and the impending happiness of demons who punish gluttony? Waiting to starve your fat ass while slapping with a paddle that says mashed potato slut so it gets imprinted on your adipose tissue? You fucking degenerate, you disgusting heap of a person. You can't afford $2. You have to make Pixlexia do it for you. God, you suck. Oh my goodness. I hope whatever wheelbarrow you rolled in on breaks and the person who's dragging you in, the enabler, breaks their spine and is crippled. So you have to either eat them or get them a powered wheelchair. You are disgusting to me. Get thee behind me, fat Satan Tess Holiday. Behind me, there are no buffets, though. You will only walk towards starvation. Okay. Cheesy Tarian says incoherent super chat. Thank you very much. All right. With that, guys, we're going over to Rumble exclusively. I'll see you over there. We got a lot more show left to do because I'm an idiot. If you don't follow me to Rumble, why are you gay? But also see you tomorrow on YouTube. Why are you only watching an hour and a half show? Watch the whole show. Peace. Peace.
For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, ladies and gentlemen,